basically a central web server that people connect to. And these can be any kinds of users, so Macs, PCs, mobile devices. And then around the central web server, there can be one location or multiple sites. And these sites host all of the different assets, excuse me, which will be shown to the people invited into the web server to participate in the approval process. And close to the assets, we have what is labeled here as PDF HR, which is a small server that is basically the rendering engine. And this is basically a RIP that will be pre-rendering the assets to prepare them for the approval cycle within the web server. So you place your high-res files onto the RIP engine, and those files will be transferred quickly and securely to the Aproove server. And the reason the rendering happens so quickly is based on a patented technology the Aproove team has developed. The Aproove ripping engine breaks the file into thousands of little pieces and delivers them to the web front end in a very quick and efficient manner. This technology, which really sets Aproove apart from other solutions, keeps the overhead on the server very low, which means you don't need to buy a high-end RIP server. Customers of ours are running VMs, and these servers are able to handle thousands of concurrent users logged into the system quite effortlessly. And the idea behind this system is to provide the best of both worlds. A mixed sauce model where you have rendering close to your assets, and you don't have to migrate or move a ton of data in order for an approval cycle to happen. And this is true for very large, heavy files, like video files. So these files do not actually have to migrate to the central web server to be previewed. So the way the system is architectured is very efficient. Okay, so I'm connected to my Aproove website, and I'm going to log in as an internal user with my username and password, the traditional way. So most of what I'm going to be showing you is the entry-level, out-of-the-box core module for the Aproove products. But I do want to point out that Aproove does offer a module for directory services integration. So if you're using Open Directory, Active Directory, LDAP, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And once I get logged in, I am presented with a list of jobs that are assigned to me or available to me as a user. And this view here is called List View. Aproove also allows or gives you access to a more hierarchical type of viewing mode, and this is called the Directory View. In this view, Aproove gives us the ability to see our approval process organized into a directory tree that is representative of the different stages or statuses of a project, and where a project is sitting in the directory corresponds to its status or location in the approval process. And this organization will be entirely up to you and your company to determine. Stages can be identified using colors, numbers, or departments like accounting, QA, studio. You get the idea. And based on different events, like the validation of a project by a user, a project could move from one branch or stage or department to another. And as the project makes this transition from one area of the directory to another, an action like sending an email notification or changing the color of a job can be triggered. So you get to determine the routing behavior and how the projects will be moving within the application. But let's go back to our list view. I just want to point out these little envelope icons next to the job names. This serves as a notification to me as a user that I have made annotations that I have not yet sent to other relevant users for this job. Aproove is a system based on notifications and prompts users to send notifications for changes they have made, and gives you the flexibility to determine the threshold for these different types of notifications. Okay, now that I have the list of jobs that I am responsible for and will collaborate on, I'm ready to start working. If I hover over the job, I get a preview. And if I click on the job, I'm presented with another column or window that gives me a list of all of the pages included in this multi-page PDF. And I can select the page I want to review. In this case, we'll be working with page 2. And this gray bar on the left here easily lets me switch between different viewing modes. So it's quite easy, just a few clicks are required to get to the full view of the asset. Now let's get down to a key part of the Aproove solution, and that is, of course, annotations. The Aproove team has put a lot of effort into keeping this very simple, and it's very easy for users to get a handle on the solution without much, if any, training. The only tool you need to make annotations is this one right here highlighted in red, the Notes tool. And this is a multi-purpose tool that allows you to do several types of annotations. Using this tool, I can click once on a page and make an annotation. And then I can validate or save it. And then using the same tool, I can draw around an area and validate and save it. And then holding down the Shift key, I can make a square. And let's say I want to do, this is the wrong logo. I can type that in, or I can select a comment from my pre-configured user-defined quick list options and validate. And let me use the zoom tool here to show you how the same tool can be used to work with text. When I was introducing the solution, I talked about the unique tiling technology of Aproove, which brings us to one of the real wow factors of the solution, and that is the speed and depth of the zoom tool. And this is possible because of that tiling technology. So when you zoom, only do you get the depth and the clarity. Only the info that is displayed on your screen will be sent to you. So Aproove is optimized to account for slow internet connections and those people working in the 11th hour, which is pretty common. Okay, so because this text has not been flattened, I'm going to select my Notes tool here again. I can highlight the text and begin making annotations. This text icon here, if I select that, gives me a side-by-side view of the text as it stands now in the current working version of the asset and the annotations I'm requesting to add. So a very quick and efficient way to submit copy changes. And if I begin making those changes, like let's say removing text, this gets highlighted in red. And if I begin adding new text, this gets highlighted in green. So a very visual feature and easy to understand. Or maybe, rather than typing, you'd rather add a file containing the new text. Then you simply click on this paperclip icon, and I'm able to add a file. In this case, I'm going to add a Word file, but if you wanted to replace a logo, you could add the image file, whatever you needed to do. So it's a great tool to make a replacement file within an annotation. So you can exchange documents within the document you are actually reviewing. Obviously, a very valuable feature for the person implementing the changes. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this annotation. So we have this gray bar here on the side, on the right-hand side, and if we click that, it opens up the notes tray. And here we can see all of the notes that have been made on this asset. If another user were to log in and start making annotations on the page, those would be visible to me as well, if I have permission to see them. The notes are displayed in the order they were created, but this icon here, the Reorder button, allows you to display the notes in either numerical or topological order. So if I'm the one working in the studio and making the corrections, this is a huge time saver because I can implement the changes in the most logical order. Double-clicking on the note will take me to the appropriate level on the page so that I can read it easily and work efficiently. I am seeing all of the annotations because I have permission to see them. But Aproove also gives you the ability to create different annotation rooms and groups, so reviewers in one department would not be able to see or comment on the notes made by another department on the same asset. Or you can keep everybody together and give all users full access to all of the annotations, and use color coding to differentiate users or groups of users to easily identify who owns the annotation. And you can have a new cycle of notes for each version of a page or asset. But everything that happens is recorded in the history here. And this can be used later for generating asset and user activity reports. But we'll close our notes tray for now. I do want to point out the print tool. Some clients or reviewers may want to get a printout of the annotations. I have permission here to print a low-res or a low-res version or a low-res PDF. If I decide that I want to generate a PDF and include notes, I can select Notes Display, Acrobat Optimized, and the approved notes will be exported as Adobe Reader sticky notes. And I can elect to export any files attached to the page, and I can go ahead and download that PDF. And this PDF is going to be available to me for 5 days. And you can see the notes that I've made. Also using the print tool, you can add devices that will allow you to create a color-calibrated proof automatically. So that was just a little bit about the print tool feature. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the invitation feature of Aproove. I entered into the Aproove system by logging in with my username and password, which again is the traditional model for annotation and collaboration software. But with Aproove, you can invite an unlimited number of guest users into the system to interact and collaborate during the approval process without using even one of the user licenses. And this is called sending an invitation. And nothing has to be pre-configured for these invited users to interact with the Aproove system. Invitations can be sent on a per page or per asset, or multiple pages can be sent for review at one time. So what I'm going to do today is send an invitation that includes multiple pages for reviewing. So I'll go to my sidebar here and select the pages. I'm going to select this page, page 2, page 3, and page 4. And then I'm going to click on this invitation icon here. And this will take me into the send invitation interface. All I need to provide is an email address. So I'm going to send the email to myself. And I also have the ability to manage my address book and create distribution lists from within my collaboration within the Aproove solution. Additionally, with Aproove, you can pre-configure questions or instructions for the recipient, or you can type in customized directions for the reviewer. In this case, I'm just going to say, please review these pages. A unique feature of Aproove is that you also get to establish the viewing options for the recipient. What do you want them to receive, and what do you want them to be able to do with the information? Do you want them to be able to print a low-res PDF or make a low-res print? If I were sending this on just one asset, there would be another area here for cropping the asset. So you only send the part of the asset that the reviewer needs to work on, which is a really cool tool and keeps the focus on the work that needs to be done. You can also establish user rights for the recipient and, of course, set an expiration date, which could follow a job deadline, a manual date, or expire upon open. So I'm going to go ahead and send that email to myself. And while that is sending, I want to show you another way in which you can view this job. And here we're going to go into what is called the production view. And the production view shows you the entire project. In this case, it's being used like a flat plan. And here I have all the pages because, again, I have permission to access them. But I can create different sections. So when another user logs in, he or she sees only the pages that are relevant at this stage of the approval process. And from here, for these sections, I can manage users and their access, allowing no access, full access, read-only access, or have the section hidden for a user or a group. We also have the ability to from here to view these pages as a flipbook. And this is not just a nice toy to show for a demo, but really is important for the artistic integrity of the pages. So for the creative person, to make sure that you don't have a page that has a yellow background next to an ad that is completely yellow. So it is a really important tool for the creative person. And we can go back to our production workflow. So let's go ahead and take a look at that email. So here I have my email, and I'm receiving this email as a non-registered Aproove user. And of course, this is out of the box, but the email can be completely customized. I may have never seen the Aproove solution before receiving this email, but all I have to do is click on the link, and I can immediately dive in and start making annotations on the pages I've been invited to collaborate on. And I have this configured to open up this in a different browser to simulate accessing the system as a different user. And I see my reviewer directions and click to continue. And from here, I can validate or approve a page. Oh, I can refuse a page, and here I can validate or approve a page. And then let's say I want to make an annotation on this page. I go ahead here, select my tool, circle the area where I would like to make the annotation, and didn't do a very good job there, but and I can make a note and validate. And if we go back to our flat plan, you can see that the page that I refused is now red, the page that I validated is green, and the page where I made the annotation is now orange. So it's like a stoplight system that says, tells me where I am in the approval process. So I can double click on this page here where work needs to be done, and I can see the annotation made by the other user. And this is all, I just want to say this is all happening in real time using Aproove's push technology. I know we have a limited amount of time, but one thing I did want to show during the demo is the way versions are displayed within the Aproove solution. So I'm going to go over here to another. Okay. So here we are looking at our multi-page PDF document, and now it has gone through a revision cycle. If we look at this page, or one of the pages, we can see that there's a bigger circle in the front, and this is indicating the page number, and the circle in the back, excuse me, tells you the number of versions of this document that exist. So if I click on that, and I'm able to hit this delta sign, I get a nice head-to-toe view of the file, and this simple slider here allows me to move between different versions. And if I zoom in just a little bit, actually, I'm going to go closer to my text here. Zoom in a little bit. I can select Show Differences, and it's going to flash where those differences have been made. And if I'm happy with the changes, I simply click on my gray bar that opens up the Notes tray, and I can verify the note, and then it will be minimized. So very simple, but a very efficient way to view versions within Aproove. The last thing I wanted to show you was how videos are displayed in the Aproove solution. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a video here. So here we have a video file, and if I hover over it, I can see the video keyframes inside of the file without having to play it. But if I do want to play it, I simply click on the file, and this brings up the video player, which works in any browser. And if I click on play, the video starts playing, and I get the timeline and codec information on the bottom, and all of the different frames in the middle. And if I want to make an annotation, I simply click on the video, and I can do this. And validate. And if I'd like to make an annotation that goes on for several frames, I simply make the annotation, hit play, and then when I'm ready for the annotation to stop, I hit pause button, and I can make my note and validate. And if I go over to the notes tray, and I want to look at the note that spanned several keyframes, I can see where the annotation starts and ends. And if I double click on it, it goes to the area of the video and plays just that clip in a loop. So it's very easy for the person making changes to get to where they need to be to implement the changes. So that's how videos are displayed in Aproove. So for this webinar, I was asked to highlight some of my favorite features of Aproove, but what I really love about Aproove is that unlike other products on the market that confine you to a specific workflow and force you to change the way you work, Aproove, like Zynet, allows you to work within your workflow, the one you've developed internally that works best for you and your team.